بيان أن الفاتحة لا يجوز كتابتها بالبول. Clarification that it is not permissible to write the Fatihah with urine. وأنه كفر, and that it is blasphemy. اعلم أن القرآن الكريم واجب تعظيمه. Know that the noble Quran, obligatory is aggrandizing it. وَمِن تَعْظِيمِهِ احْتِرَامُ آيَاتِهِ, and amongst its aggrandization is respecting its verses. بِأَلَّا تُكْتَبَ بِشَيْءٍ نَجِسٍ كَالْبَوْلِ, by them not being written by something filthy like urine. فَإِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ تَحْقِيرًا وَاسْتِخْفَافًا بِهَا, for indeed in doing that there is disrespect and sacrilege towards them. وَهُوَ رِدَّةٌ, and doing so is apostasy. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى, the refuge with God is salt. وَقَدْ شَذَّ وَهَلَكَ مَنْ جَوَّزَ ذَلِكَ, and deviated and ruined himself has whoever permitted that. مُعْتَمِدًا عَلَى مَا فِي حَاشِيَةِ ابْنِ عَابِدِينَ, relying on what's in the commentary of Ibn Abidin, the Hanafi. مِمَّا نَعْتَقِدُ أَنَّهُ دَسٌ عَلَى الْمُؤَلِّفِ, amongst what we believe, Sheikh means himself, as if he's saying, I believe. Amongst what we believe is perversion inserted into the book of the author. وَنَصُّ مَا فِي الْحَاشِيَةِ الْمُسَمَّاةِ رَدُّ الْمُحْتَارِ, or رَدَّ الْمُحْتَارِ, and the verbatim quote of what is in the commentary called رَدُّ الْمُحْتَارِ. Now, by the way, what does it mean here? I'm translating as commentary. So the Arabic word is hashia. Hashia means margin, the margin. Or it could even mean the footnote, which is in the margin, the bottom margin. But all of the space around the page is the hashia. So, you have a metin, an original text, and you have a sharh, an explanation for that original text. And sometimes they explain the explanation in the margin. So that's going to be the hashia, the commentary on an explanation of an original text. وَفِي الْخَانِيَةِ, or al-khaniyah, I don't know if there's a shadda on that yet or not. في معنى قوله عليه الصلاة والسلام, and so the quote is in al-khaniyah or al-khaniyah, I don't know, about the meaning of what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمْ يَجْعَلْ شِفَاءَكُمْ فِي مَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Indeed, Allah did not make your cure be in what is forbidden for you. كَمَا رَوَاهُ الْبُخَارِي, like Al-Bukhari narrated, أَنَّمَا فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لَا بَأْسَ بِهِ. The meaning of this is that that which has cure is okay. It's not bad. كما يحل الخمر للعطشان في الضرورة. Just like wine is legalized for the one who's dying of thirst, dire situation. وكذا اختاره صاحب الهداية في التجنيس. And that's what the author of Al-Hidayah chose in التجنيس. فقال لو رعف فكتب الفاتحة بالدم على جبهته. He said, had one had a nosebleed, and so the Fatihah was written with blood on his forehead, وأنفه, and on his nose, جاز للاستشفاء. That's permissible for seeking cure, which is invalid. That's not true. We don't agree with that. Sheikh is saying, whoever relied on this because he found it in Ibn Abidin's book, then that's too bad for him. وَبِالْبَوْلِ أَيْضًا, and by urine also, in علم فيه شفاءً, if he knew that he'd be cured by it. لا بأس به لكن لم ينقل. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing transmitted about it. وهذا لأن الحرمة ساقطة عند الاستشفاء. And this is because the prohibition is dropped when seeking cure. كحل الخمر والميتة للعطشان والجائع. Like legalizing wine and dead meat for who's dying of thirst and hunger. وتفنيد ذلك بأن يقال, and deeming this opinion foolish is by it being said, يرد هذا ما جاء في كتاب عقود اللآلي في الأسانيد العوالي لابن عابدين نفسه. What refutes that is what came in the book عقود اللآلي by Ibn Abidin himself. وَنَصُّ الْعِبَارَةِ, and the verbatim quote is وَمِنْهَا مَا رَأَيْتُهُ بِخَطِّهِ, يعني الشيخ محمد شاكر العقاد, أيضا مما يكتب للرعاف على جبهة المرعوف. So Ibn Abidin said, amongst that is what I saw written in my sheikh's own handwriting, Sheikh Muhammad Shakir al-Aqad, which is that he said, also among what is written for the nosebleed on the forehead of the one who has a nosebleed is the saying of Allah, وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ وَيَا سَمَاءُ أَقْلِعِي وَغِيضَ الْمَاءُ وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ, which is the 44th verse of Surah Hud. The ayah itself means, it was said, this is about the flood of Noah, O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, desist. And then the water went down. and then the matter was finalized. So then what did Ibn Abidin continue to say? وَلَا يَجُوزُ كِتَابَتُهَا بِدَمِ الرُّعَافِ. It is not permissible to write it with the blood of the nosebleed. كَمَا يَفْعَلُهُ بَعْضُ الْجُهَّالِ, like what some of the ignoramuses do. لِأَنَّ الدَّمَ نَجِسٌ, because blood is filth. فَلَا يَجُوزُ أَن يُكْتَبَ بِهِ كَلَامُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And so it is not permissible that the speech of Allah be written by it. Exalted is He. Intaha, end quote. هذا ما في الحاشية. This is what's in the commentary. نقلناه نقلا حرفيا. We have conveyed it verbatim. واللائق بالشيخ ابن عابدين ما نقله عن شيخه. And what is befitting of a sheikh like Ibn Abidin is what he documented about his sheikh. وهو الشيخ محمد شاكر العقاد, who is Sheikh Muhammad Shakir al-Aqad. وهو الموافق لقول الله تعالى, and that saying is what agrees with what Allah said. وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. The 32nd ayah of Surah Al-Hajj. Whoever glorifies the symbols of Allah's religion, then that is from the taqwa of the hearts. Ayah 32 of Surah Al-Hajj. فَلَا يَجُوزُ الْعَمَلُ بِمَا فِي الْحَاشِيَةِ. And so it is not permissible to practice what is in that commentary. من أنه يجوز كتابة الفاتحة بالدم وبالبول, that it is permissible to write the Fatihah with blood or urine. إن علم منه شفاء, if one knew that he'd get cured by that. فما أبعد هذه المسألة مما أفتى به الشيخ محمد عليش المالكي. And how far is this case from the verdict given by Sheikh Muhammad Ilaysh the Maliki? وهو من أهل القرن الثالث عشر كابن عابدين. And he is from the people of the 13th century, like Ibn Abidin. قال في فتاويه, he said in his verdicts, المسمات فتح العلي المالك. His verdicts that are called فتح العلي المالك ما نصه, quote. And to remind you, there's a type of fiqh book called Fatawa. Fatawa. So, you know, fatwa is a religious answer or a religious verdict. The plural of fatwa is fatawa or futya. But also this word fatawa is the name of a type of fiqh book in which its author documents questions and answers. Quote, ما قولكم في بل موضع الخاتم بالريق وفيه اسم الله تعالى. The question is, what do you say about moistening an area, the area of a ring that has the name of Allah on it, moistening that area with saliva. فَأَجَبْتُهُ بِمَا نَصُّهُ. The author of that book said, I answered him this way: Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. La yajuz, that's not permissible. Wa huwa kufr, and that's blasphemy. Wa in i'tid, even if it's customary. Intaha, end quote. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْبُعْدَ الشَّاسِعَ بَيْنَ الْمَقَالَتَيْنِ. So look at the vast difference between these two sayings. One saying, putting saliva in the area near, or in the area of the ring that has the name of Allah is kufr. The other says, according to what's written in the book, writing an ayah of the Quran in blood or urine is fine, if one knows he'll get cured by it. وَكَانَ الشَّيْخُ مُحَمَّدْ عِلَّيْشِ مُفْتِي الدِّيَارِ الْمِصْرِيَّةِ. Sheikh Muhammad Ilaysh, he was the mufti of the Egyptian precincts. توفي سنة 99 بعد 200 وألف. He died in the year 1299. وكان تولى وظيفة الإفتاء في الديار المصرية سنة 70 و200 وألف. And he was put in charge of giving the verdicts for the Egyptian precincts in the year 1270. وله من التآليف 34 مؤلفا. And he has of authorings 34 works, 34 books. إلا أنه لا يوافق على الحكم بالردة لمجرد فعل ذلك. However, the judgment of apostasy, as he stated it, for merely doing what's proposed in the question, is not agreeable. The Shaykh, he mentioned in some spots about Muhammad Ilaysh's judgment pertaining to saliva. So he was very strict there, Muhammad Ilaysh, and he deemed some things kufr that the Shaykh didn't agree with. The point of the Shaykh, though, here is not to agree with his statement, but to show you the vast difference between one and the other. وَمِمَّا يرد ما في الحاشية أيضا ما جاء في الحاشية نفسها. And among what refutes what is in that commentary also is what is in the very same commentary. نقلا عن فتاوى ابن حجر الهيتمي الشافعي, logging what is in the verdicts of Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, the Shafi'i. وَنَصُّ الْعِبَارَةِ, and the verbatim quote is وقد أفتى ابن الصلاح بأنه لا يجوز أن يكتب على الكفن ياسين والكهف ونحوهما خوفا من صديد الميت. Ibn Salah gave a verdict that it is not permissible to write on the shroud of the dead person Surat Yasin or Surat Al-Kahf or the likes of those two, meaning nothing else from the Quran either, for fear of the pus of the dead when he starts leaking and decomposing. والقياس المذكور ممنوع لأن القصد ثم الشفاء وهنا التبرك. So he says, and the mentioned comparison is invalid because the intention there is cure, and the intention here is seeking blessings. فالأسماء المعظمة باقية على حالها. The glorified names remain upon their situation. فلا يجوز تعريضها للنجاسة. And it is not permissible to expose them to filth. والقول بأنه يطلب فعله مردود. And saying that doing such a thing is recommended is rejected. لأن مثل ذلك لا يحتج به إلا إذا صح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم طلب ذلك. Because the likes of that has no evidence unless it is authenticated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that that should be sought. وَلَيْسَ كَذَلِكَ, and that's not the case. انتهى, end quote. وَقَدَّمْنَا قُبَيْلَ بَابِ الْمِيَاهِ عَنِ الْفَتْحِ أنه تكره كتابة القرآن وأسماء الله تعالى على الدراهم والمحاريب والجدران وما يفرش. So that intaha, end quote. Let's make sure we're following what's going on here. So among what refutes what is in the Hashiyah is also something else that's in the very same Hashiyah, copying from the Fatawa of Ibn Hajar al-Haytami the Shafi'i. And the quote is that Ibn Salah gave a fatwa that it's not permissible to write on the dead's shroud Surat Yasin or Surat Al-Kahf or other than those two for fear of the dead's pus, etc. until intaha. That's the end of the quote of Ibn Hajar al-Haytami. Then continuing on in this Hanafi Hashiyah, this Hanafi commentary, he said, وَقَدَّمْنَا قُبَيْلَ بَابِ الْمِيَاهِ عَنِ الْفَتْحِ. We have presented right before the chapter about the waters from Al-Fatih, أنه تكره كتابة القرآن وأسماء الله تعالى على الدراهم والمحاريب والجدران. That writing the name of Allah and writing the Quran is disliked on the coins and the mihrabs and the walls and what is engraved. وَمَا ذَاكَ إِلَّا لِاحْتِرَامِهِ. And why is that but for its honor? وَخَشْيَةِ وَطْئِهِ, and for fear that it would be stepped upon. وَنَحْوِهِ, and the likes of that. مِمَّا فِيهِ إِهَانَةٌ amongst what contains disrespect. فَالْمَنْعُ هُنَا بِالْأَوْلَى. So the prohibition here is even more deserving. مَا لَمْ يَثْبُتْ عَنِ الْمُجْتَهِدِ أَوْ يُنْقَلْ فِيهِ حَدِيثٌ ثَابِتٌ. As long as it wasn't confirmed from a mujtahid or transmitted in a confirmed hadith. فَتَأَمَّلْ. So ponder that. نعم. Yes, نقل بعض المحشين عن فوائد الشرجي عن فوائد الشرجي أن مما يكتب على جبهة الميت بغير مداد بالإصبع المسبحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Yes, some commentators have logged from the fawaid of Ash-Sharji that among what is written on the forehead of the dead person without ink, just by the pointer finger, is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa ala sadr, and on his chest, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. وَذَلِكَ بَعْدَ الْغُسْلِ قَبْلَ التَّكْفِينِ. And that will be after the ghusl and before the shrouding. انتهى كلام ابن عابدين. That's the end of the talk of Ibn Abidin. أقول, Shaykh says, I say, كل هذا يؤيد تزييف القول بأنه يجوز كتابة الفاتحة بالدم والبول. All of this supports counterfeiting the claim, deeming counterfeit the claim, the saying that it's permissible to write Al-Fatihah with blood or urine. فَوَجَبَ التَّحْذِيرُ مِنْ تِلْكَ الْمَقَالَةِ. And so obligatory is warning from that saying. وَلَا يَبْعُدُ أَن تَكُونَ هَذِهِ الْمَقَالَةُ مَدْسُوسَةً عَلَى ابْنِ عَابِدِينَ. And it is not far-fetched that this saying is inserted, perverted talk inserted into the book of Ibn Abidin. وَيَحْتَمِلُ أَنْ يَكُونَ أَوْرَدَهَا ابْنُ عَابِدِينَ مَعَ تَزْيِيفِهَا. And it's possible that Ibn Abidin did produce this talk and its falsification. فَأَسْقَطَ بَعْضُ النَّاسِخِينَ التَّزْيِيفِ. But then some of those who copied the book of Ibn Abidin dropped out the falsification. وَنَقَلَهَا بِدُونِ تَزْيِيفِ. And then transmitted the saying without Ibn Abidin's falsification of the judgment. فَلَا يَجُوزُ نِسْبَتُهَا إِلَى ابْنِ عَابِدِينَ. So it's not permissible to attribute that to Ibn Abidin. فَالْوَيْلُ ثُمَّ الْوَيْلُ لِمَنْ يَعْتَقِدُ أَوْ يَقُولُ بِجَوَازِ كِتَابَةِ الْفَاتِحَةِ بَلْ آيَةٍ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ الْكَرِيمِ بِالْبَوْلِ. And so woe, and again woe to whoever believes or says that it is permissible to write the Fatihah, in fact, a single ayah of the noble Quran with urine. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ رِدَّةٌ مُخْرِجَةٌ مِنَ الدِّينِ. For indeed, that is apostasy that takes one out of the religion. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah